Ferrari's performance at the Japanese Grand Prix was a wake-up call. The SF25, which showed promise in pre-season testing, was now struggling with rear instability and inconsistent race pace. In fact, it became clear that Ferrari needed more than just tweaks. They needed a game-changer. But then, as the paddock shifted to Bahrain, Ferrari quietly introduced an updated floor to the SF25. And while it didn't dominate headlines, it marked a crucial turning point for the team's 2025 season. So, what exactly changed? Why was Hamilton the first to test it? And how might this impact Ferrari's future upgrades? Let's break it all down. Before we get into the details of the upgrade, let's first understand why Ferrari had to act fast. Because what they were facing wasn't just a minor flaw, it was a critical issue that threatened to derail their entire season. Because Ferrari didn't bring this floor update just for fun, they brought it out of necessity. The opening rounds of the 2025 season exposed a fundamental weakness in the SF25 rear-end instability. Now, this wasn't just some casual oversteer here and there. It was a deep, structural problem in the car's aerodynamic behavior under load. Let's break it down. Under braking into medium-speed corners, like Turn 4 in Bahrain or Turn 11 in Jeddah, the car felt unpredictable. The drivers couldn't trust the rear end. Snap oversteer would kick in without warning. Or worse, the car would suddenly refuse to rotate, leading to under-rotation, where the nose doesn't want to tuck in. And that kind of inconsistency? It's lethal in Formula One, especially for someone like Lewis Hamilton, who thrives on a stable rear platform to set up precise rotation. But nothing exposed the flaw more brutally than Suzuka, the ultimate test of aerodynamic balance. In Sector 2, every input needs to be fluid, reactive, connected. If your car's aero is off by even a few percent, the track punishes you immediately. And for Ferrari, they were fighting the car more than the stopwatch. Even Charles Leclerc, who drove near perfectly all weekend, couldn't fight physics. He finished P4, wringing the neck of a car that just wouldn't rotate cleanly through the high-speed corners. And that's when it became crystal clear. It wasn't the driver, it was the car. The rear-end instability wasn't just costing lap time, it was killing the driver's confidence. And in Formula One, confidence equals performance. Let's get one thing straight. In modern Formula One, the car's floor is where the real magic happens. And Ferrari just dropped a major update to it. But blink, and you'll miss it. At first glance, the new floor on the SF25 looks similar. But under the surface, it's a wind tunnel masterstroke, built to fix one of Ferrari's biggest 2025 weaknesses: unpredictable rear grip and poor tire management. So what did they actually change? Let's start with the floor edge. Ferrari has revised the contour, carving a deeper undercut just ahead of the rear tires. This helps energize airflow toward the diffuser, increasing rear downforce without sacrificing straight-line speed. Next, they've altered the edge wing design. Those tiny flaps running along the floor's edge. These now have a more aggressive angle of attack, guiding high-pressure air downward and sealing the floor more efficiently. That reduces the loss of low-pressure air from underneath, enhancing the ground effect seal. Then there's the strake configuration. Vertical vanes located beneath the floor's entry point. Ferrari modified their number and orientation, aiming to better condition the airflow before it even reaches the Venturi tunnels. Think of it as giving the air a clean shave before it's sucked into the system. And finally, subtle tweaks to the diffuser throat. By adjusting the curvature and volume here, Ferrari is extracting airflow more rapidly, enhancing low-speed stability, one of the car's key weaknesses during corner exits. These aren't dramatic changes, but they're precision-engineered. Ferrari isn't throwing spaghetti at the wall. They're following CFD data, correlating it with track telemetry, and upgrading with surgical intent. So the obvious question is, why now? Well, this floor upgrade didn't just appear out of thin air. It's the result of data Ferrari gathered from the first two races of the season, and it points to a troubling trend. In Bahrain and Jeddah, the SF25 showed flashes of brilliance, especially in Leclerc's hands. But the car's rear instability on corner exits, coupled with inconsistent tire degradation, kept them out of serious Red Bull or even McLaren territory over race distance. Telemetry told the full story. Ferrari noticed that under high lateral load, especially mid-corner, the floor would bleed downforce. Rear-end grip dropped off, making the car twitchy, especially for Hamilton, who's still adjusting his driving style to the SF25's platform. And then came the tire drop-off issue. In Bahrain, Ferrari's rear tires faded nearly 5 laps earlier than Red Bull's. In F1, that's an eternity. If you are still watching, please take a moment and push that subscribe button to make my day. Now, what was the root cause? Engineers traced it back to aerodynamic instability, particularly around the rear of the floor and diffuser. The airflow would detach more easily as the fuel load dropped or winds shifted, causing balance issues and forcing both drivers to compensate mid-race. That's what led to this floor revision. Ferrari's goal? Stabilize the aero platform, lock in rear-end grip, and give Hamilton and Leclerc a car they can push harder and longer without fearing sudden oversteer or early tire wear. The result is this first major evolution of the SF25. Here's where things got interesting. When Free Practice 1 kicked off in Bahrain, it wasn't Charles Leclerc, Ferrari's golden boy, who ran the brand new floor. It was Lewis Hamilton. Now, that raised eyebrows across the paddock. Was this favoritism? Politics? A shift in team dynamics? No, it was strategy, pure and simple. You see, Lewis is still getting comfortable with the SF25. Every sensation, every twitch, every change, he feels it. Like a surgeon with new tools, he notices the tiniest adjustments. Ferrari knew that if there was any difference in rear stability, Hamilton would be the first to sense it. He's not yet dialed into the car like Leclerc, so he's more sensitive to variations. That made him the perfect candidate for a clean A/B test. By running Lewis on the upgraded floor and Charles on the base spec, Ferrari created a real-time comparison. Same track, same conditions, but two different cars. It was the perfect science experiment. And the results? Hamilton didn't light up the timing sheets, but the telemetry told a different story. Rear slip angle variation, reduced, throttle input, smoother. Car balance under traction, noticeably more stable. That gave the Ferrari engineers their first clue that the upgrade was working, not just in theory, but in real-world feedback. And that's all they needed to go full steam ahead into FP2. Now, let's dive into the data, because this is where we start to see the real impact of Ferrari's upgrade. And trust me, the numbers speak volumes. During FP1 and FP2 in Bahrain, Ferrari gathered over 70 gigabytes of telemetry data, but you don't need all that to see what mattered. Sector 2, the most technical part of the Bahrain layout, full of quick transitions and mid-speed corners, became the proving ground. Hamilton, on the upgraded floor, was consistently 0.15 to 0.2 seconds faster per lap. Minimum corner speeds in turns 5 and 6 up by 4 kilometers per hour. Throttle modulation way smoother through the traction zones, especially out of turn 8. And here's the kicker. Rear tire degradation dropped by nearly 9% over a medium stint simulation. That's huge, especially for Ferrari, who've historically struggled with rear wear during race stints. It points to one thing: more consistent downforce generation from the floor, better energy distribution through the rear suspension, more predictability for the driver under lateral load. And it didn't stop with Lewis. When Leclerc bolted on the upgraded floor in FP2, he immediately reported more stable mid-corner, easier to predict the rear. Turn-in feels cleaner, I can commit more. So yeah, the car finally started talking the driver's language. For once, it wasn't fighting them, it was working with them. And in a field this tight, that makes all the difference. For the eagle-eyed observers, yes, there are visual differences too. When you compare side-by-side photos of the SF25 pre- and post-upgrade, you'll spot a longer undercut ahead of the rear tire, revised edge wing geometry, more sculpted and sloped downward, and a slightly modified strake layout near the mid-floor section. These tweaks aren't just cosmetic, they adjust how air flows under the floor, maximizing ground effect and minimizing porpoising risk, something Ferrari still monitors carefully. The diffuser changes, while subtle, create a more aggressive expansion area. That means faster air extraction and more downforce without increasing drag. A win-win. So, what's the big picture here? This floor update isn't a revolution, but it is a vital evolution. It shows Ferrari is learning fast, adapting its 2025 development philosophy to fine-tune the SF25's weak spots, and critically, they're doing it early in the season. If the data holds through the next 2 races, expect Ferrari to bring complementary upgrades, possibly a revised rear wing or new side pod inlet geometry, by Imola or Spain. And with Red Bull still battling their own internal development issues post-Nui, Ferrari smells opportunity. This upgrade won't win a championship on its own, but it's the first real sign that Maranello's 2025 campaign has a pulse and a plan. So, is this floor upgrade the spark Ferrari needed, or just another step in a long, uncertain climb? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more in-depth breakdowns like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because in this season of chaos, we're just getting started.